After the movement of the airplanes is set up, the next step is to set up the lighting, materials, and render. In order for the airplanes to look natural, the lighting should be set up to match the lighting on the location during filming. I am working with the VRAI rendering engine. We create the sun, and we are offered to automatically create the sky lighting, but we refuse. To display our airplanes in the render, we need to add the mesh operator. In the render settings, I specify V-Ray. It is necessary to change the materials of geometry from the standard materials to the V-Ray materials. I copy the diffuse map from the standard material and paste it into the V-Ray material. Since we created two textures for the geometry, let's repeat this again. Next, we will assign a material to the airplanes. This will be a two-sided material because it is able to scatter light like real paper. Since we have opted out of automatic sky creation, we need to create it ourselves. I do this through the render settings using V-Ray Sky. Let's try to render this. The image is overexposed because we did not change the exposure control to V-Ray. We will also specify in the render settings that the render will be from our camera. It looks more realistic now. Now I want to improve our airplane model by adding some parts that imitate paper folds. To start, I will disable TyFlow so that it does not update every time the geometry is changed. I will duplicate the airplane in Edit Poly mode by holding down the Ctrl plus Shift keys and dragging down. Creating an edge using the Swift Loop tool, I will cut off half of the airplane and delete the rear part. After that, I will edit the vertices by moving them closer to the wings and nose. Repeating the polygon duplication operation, I want to create another imitation of a paper fold in the form of a triangle in the middle. Align vertices. Now let's enable Tyflow and switch to another sky model to make it shine from above with a more blue color. As we can see, the geometry of the airplanes has changed and imitations of paper folds have appeared. Now I would like the airplanes to be different colors. To do this, we need to add a material ID operator and specify the value random in it. We are changing our two-sided material. We add it to the multi-sub object, copy it 4 times and change the color in each copy. Let's see what we got on the render. Great. Now our airplanes have different colors. I would like to add even more variety by adding airplanes of a different shape. To do this, I will copy our current airplane model and slightly modify it. Then I will add it to the list of models in the shape operator. You can add as many of your models as you want here. Let's see what we got on the render. Now we have airplanes of different colors and shapes. To make the render more realistic, we need to add motion blur and depth of field to the camera. Let's update the render to see the changes. Everything is working like a charm. Next, we need to specify that the landscape should not be rendered, but should act as a mask so that we don't see the airplanes in the render that fly behind the rock. By clicking on the landscape and then right-clicking in the viewport, we select V-Ray Properties, where we specify that it is a matte object and the alpha contribution is set to -1. We then close the tab and render. We have achieved the desired result. All that remains for us to do is to configure the render, save paths, change the global illumination calculation method, specify that all frames should be rendered, save the project and start rendering. Also, don't forget to check that there are no unnecessary frames in the project on the timeline. Let's start render.
A few moments later.
After the render, we just need to put everything together. I'm using After Effects for this. First, we need to load the original video of the flight over the beach, then load our render of the airplanes. All that remains to be done is a small color correction. Since I rendered the airplanes in the ACES color space, I will need to specify Preserve RGB in the footage import. Then, to correctly display the color in the project, I will use the Open Color IO effect, where I will select that I have loaded footage in the ACES color space and want to output Rec 709. I will add the curve effect and slightly change it so that the airplanes are more realistic. That's it. Now you can also bring your ideas to life by integrating 3D of this kind into real footage. Thank you for your attention.